So basically, I'm coming on here. I am just going to talk about the new year because it is the first day of 2025. I just thought I would talk about the new year and talk about last year. So, I guess first of all, I am already very pessimistic going into 2025. I was at the grocery store yesterday, New Year's Eve, closed at 6. I went at 5:45, and there's only like 20 cartons of eggs in the store, and I thought it was crazy. So that was like my first like, oh man, 2025 is already cooked moment. And then I guess today there's been some news out of America. I believe there's a couple terrorist attacks, which we don't really want to get into. It's not a political show. But it just makes you think like, man, is 2025 or is 2025 really going to be that great? I remember back in the day when 2020 was happening, and we all know what happened in 2020. And everyone was like, oh, I can't wait for 2020 to be over. And 2021 came, and it was worse. And then it just got worse and worse and worse every year since. And heading into 25 with no eggs, and who knows what's going on down south, is a little bit worrisome. Well, that being said, for me, I am fairly optimistic. I will say 2024 was a very weird year for me. I was unemployed all year. The way I kind of look at my life, obviously a year is a year, period. Like it's a year. But my year kind of went from when I got laid off in August of 2023 until until now, I guess. So it's more of in like a 16-month little chapter where I went on two big summer road trips, did a bunch of YouTube stuff, was just unemployed, learned how to be broke, all that stuff. So this is kind of like that whole this year turning is kind of like the whole 14, 16 months, whatever the heck that was, 15 months. Anyways, doesn't really matter. It feels like I'm turning the page on all that because I have to get a job. I'm going to go start job hunting on Monday, which I think is the 6th, no, the 5th, whatever, Monday. It is now Wednesday. And on Monday, I'm starting job searching properly. I do not know what I'm going to do. And I guess I'll say it. I only really intend on finding a job for 6 months. I basically want to work I until I can go on another vacation in 2025 for the summer, which we'll talk about more later. But I'm just looking for any job. I can work in a warehouse. I was a delivery driver before. I can still deliver things. But also, if I could get a better job, maybe even a career type of job, that would be awesome. But my plan is essentially to work long enough till at some point in time, I will be able to fund myself. I talk with my hands too much. I'll be able to fund myself on YouTube. I do not need to make a lot of money. I have a small nut, as they say. I have to pay rent, a phone bill. My van is paid off. I have to pay insurance, gas, and I can do nothing. I can talk to my people on YouTube. I do not need to hang out with my friends. I can live cheap, and that's been a huge thing that I have achieved, I guess, over the last year. But so that's the plan. I need to get a job ASAP. If you are hiring, let me know in Abbotsford, BC. But I need a job that'll tide me over until July 1st, August 1st. I'm not really sure. Depends how much money I make, depends how much money I save, and depends how many people like and subscribe and watch this channel. I will say my most recent video, as of just before here, had like 4,500 views already, which is not the most amount of views I've had on a video, but it's the most amount of views I've gotten on a video in 3 days. And I have already gained, I think, about 110 subscribers since I posted that video 3 days ago. I'll say that is probably not a sustainable thing because that video, if you've watched it, was how much money I've made on YouTube so far. And I cannot keep making those videos because that only will probably happen once every year, essentially. And all my other videos are good but different. So while I think my subscriber count and my views will continue to go up, this one is more of a one-off. But it does make me feel again that I'm optimistic heading into the future that eventually I will be able to sustain myself off YouTube. Again, I do not need a huge amount of money. I just need enough to get by and be able to go live in the van and do van things. Although I've said this before, I live in my sister's basement and I pay rent, but I live in my sister's basement and I cannot just go live in the van for free. I do need to pay rent here because last year I did not pay rent. I did a whole bunch of renovations, but part of that deal was like the fact that I'm going to have to pay rent moving forward. I'm going to read a few of these comments here. So, new chapter. Oh, it's eating paste. I think I know who that guy is now. I don't want to say, but I think I know it. I forgot. I lost my train of thought. So, now he knows I know. I don't know. I read those comments. I totally forgot what I was talking about. Anyways, I do feel at some point I am going to be able to sustain myself off of YouTube. Maybe if I work for 6 months, go off in the summer, maybe, just maybe, I will not have to get a job when I get home. I can just, from then, run on with the YouTube. And I do have more plans for this YouTube stuff that I'll talk about it as we go. But for now, I want to say that I'm optimistic. And also, I did talk to Mike Zikopoulos. And if you have been following along, this channel started as a strictly van channel. And it was Astro Safari van build. And during that time, Mike Z, I caught his attention. And we have sort of become friends. I'm not going to oversell it, but I've talked to him on the phone for a few hours, I guess, overall. And he was a big person who I need to thank in my year in review. He was a big part of to get my 1,000 viewers. I had to get 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours to get monetized. But he made a push on his channel just to be like, hey, I know this guy. He's really funny. He's cool. He's all these things. He's really good looking. And he needs followers. So he sent a bunch of people my way. And then today I talked to him on the phone. And he was super nice and basically told me, like, keep going. You're doing it. You're on the right track. You're doing all these things. And in the future, I would like to do, I think I mentioned it before, but I would like to do a live stream with him. And I would like to do more live streams with people, like having a guest, kind of like a podcast. But again, we'll talk about that more in the future. But it is weird to do a live stream when I'm just talking. I think it'd be better, it'd be more entertaining for you people to have me talk to somebody about something else instead of just myself. So Mike Z is on the list, but I want to give him a huge thank you because he was very nice and kind today, telling me to keep going. I will say also, there's a lot of people, because my video is titled How Much Money I Made as a Failed Van Life YouTuber, which is kind of accurate, but also kind of a joke. And people are like, oh, don't call yourself a failure, all this stuff. It is a joke. I'm aware that I'm not a failure. I'm a good person. But so many people came out and said so many nice things. And that's back on the heels of Christmas. Because so many people said, like, Merry Christmas, all this stuff on my videos, but also in real life because of my Christmas light display. I just have had so much love coming in the last, like, month. It has been pretty crazy, and frankly, I don't really like it because it makes me feel uncomfortable getting so much praise. It feels unwarranted, but at the end of the day, if you provide value to somebody, they want to send love back your way. So, thank you. With that being said, I am going to go through my list, and if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll write them down, and I will try to address them. But New Year, new me. That is the title of this episode. And New Year's obviously a time that people make resolutions. I don't specifically have any resolutions other than it's the same stuff. I would like to lose weight. I would like to eat better. I would like to get my shit together. All that stuff. But the biggest thing I'm doing in 2025 is getting a freaking haircut. This hair, I have gotten so tired of it. And it's been fun And I looked it up today on Instagram. And the last time I had a haircut was February 21st, I believe was the day of 2024. So it's been 10 months since I've had a haircut. And I have grown tired of it. And it has officially, the time has come, and I am shaving my head tomorrow. I do not care what anybody says. My decision has been made. But it's going to be pretty wild because I've had the long hair for quite a while. And a part of it, I liked it because it was like marketing. And marketing. I have 1,500 subscribers. Anyways, I thought it was like fun for marketing and had the crazy hair for the van. But that is going away. So it's like, it is a whole new me. New year, new me. Haircut coming tomorrow. Getting a job. And as far as other resolutions, like I would like to lose weight. I think in my year, my 14 or 15 months since I got laid off, I think I'm down 25 pounds, which is not a lot over 16 months. But with that being said, I'm actually pretty happy with that. Like obviously, I am still an overweight guy. You can see, but I feel way better than I did when I got laid off. All the stress with getting laid off because my old boss died. We had no idea what was going on, whatever. We also had a big flooding incident in Abbotsford, and I packed on a bunch of weight leading up to that. And I have slowly lost some of it. Like I said, 25 pounds. Last time I weighed myself, I was like 286, I think it was. I can't read my writing. I also think I might need to get new glasses in 2025. But I think I'm weighed 286, and I weighed like 306, 308 when I got laid off. And I had previously weighed a little bit more than that. So I'm down about 25, maybe even 30 pounds. But I know this summer in my vacationing, my trip, my content filming, whatever you want to call it. I say vacation, but that's a little flippant because it is a business trip. Just the amount of things I could do were so much more improved than the year before. And healthily, I'm so unhealthy, I can't even say it. Health-wise, I feel way better than I did when I got laid off. Because I think a lot of it is just the overweight. 25 pounds. I think I sleep better now than I used to. And I can just do way more things. I can hike longer. I can climb up mountains better. Obviously, I am not a super fit athlete. There was a lot of people on those trails that absolutely smoked me. But I feel good. And obviously, I would like to lose some more weight. But if I don't, I don't. And it's just going to be weird because I feel bad. I'm going to have to readjust to real life, and I'm going to get a job. And I don't know what that's going to entail. I might have weird hours. I don't know how it's going to fit in. I do not want to gain weight, but I'm not making it like a major priority to lose weight. I would like to lose some, but not crazy. Anyways, thank you. Anyway, I love Freeze. He gave me another little token of his appreciation there. And I will say, actually, we'll get right into this now. Another thing that I've done in 2025 is, well, I've done nothing. What I plan on doing is, well, first of all, I'm doing a dry January, but I'm not a big drinker, haven't been for quite a while. But I am also with dry January. That really means a green-free January for me because I don't drink, but I do smoke a lot of pot. Historically, have always smoked pot since I was 19 years old. And at one point, allegedly, somebody just like me, somebody that looked just like me, had a YouTube channel before that got banned from the internet because he reviewed legal Canadian marijuana. And I actually have some fans that still remember that guy who allegedly had that channel before. They still remember me, and that's how I originally was trying to be famous on YouTube. But anyways, I've been smoking weed for a long time, and because I have no money, I had zero income this whole year, I had to cut right back. So this is the least amount. I'll be 37 in February. This is the least amount of weed I have consumed from when I was 19 to when I was 36, right? Like that was the least weed I've smoked. But next year, I think I'm actually going to smoke even less weed. I do not want to be 100% sober, but I want to be sober-ish. This year, so on my trip, I was indulging quite a bit, and then I was nursing vape pens. So even if I wasn't smoking weed, I had the vape pen, which I was hitting, and then every now and again, you just get into that like, well, again, being unemployed. If you have a vape pen, you're unemployed. You're editing videos in your living room. You can just hit the vape, hit the vape, hit the vape, hit the vape. And then you realize, like, oh, I hit the vape all day and did nothing. So I had to, excuse me, I had to cut back. And I've actually, and then later in my trip, when I was on my summer adventure, which you guys have seen the videos, and the videos will be coming. Oh, had to get up my vape. More videos will be coming out of my summer trip. I'm gonna pick off in Saskatchewan. I think on Sunday is gonna be my new day to post. Anyways, on my trip, being by myself, lonely and sad, I'm bored. I guess when you're bored, I was smoking quite a lot of pot, and it's like I don't think this is good. Actually, I will say when I first went out on my trip, I found a bag of weed that was $30 an ounce, I think, in Kamloops, and I was like, oh, I guess I have to buy it. So I bought an ounce of weed, and I was smoking so much of it. It was like because I had so much, I smoked it all. And then I got to the point where I was like, man, this isn't being constructive because I'm by myself, like coping. I'm using weed to cope, which I felt like was bad behavior. So from then, it's a moment on my trip where I was like, no, I'm good, no more. And then from there, that was like September, mid-September. From then, I've smoked very little. Funny story, actually, I went to Sloquet Hot Springs with my friends as our annual guys trip, which I think is like 12 years, maybe 14 years in a row now. But anyways, I had bought a pack of pre-rolls that fell behind my glove box in Cold Lake, Alberta when I was there. And I could not figure out what happened to these. And then I found them. So I was on the Remembrance Day weekend, November 11th or whatever. I had a pack of pre-rolls that I found, and I smoked them all. And I have not smoked any more weed since then. And then as far as alcohol goes, I think I drank maybe 6 times this year. So, what was it? Never hurts to dial back the vices. Try tiny bowls. That is a thing. So I will say, I don't know, I'm holding that pen. If I have it, I will just go through it. I can't stop myself, which is probably why I'm fat too. If I have junk food, I'll eat it. But if I have weed, I'll just smoke it. There's no controlling myself, which is, like I said, terrible behavior. And that's one of the reasons, like, I think I need to, I guess I need to learn how to use it in a more positive way. And that's kind of what this year is about. But I'm just cutting back. I'm not doing it. But it's like I'm probably not going to smoke joints by myself anymore for the year. That's my plan. But for sure, none in January. Anyways, that is a work in progress. But that is my sober-ish is my thing. Actually, I never finished. I drank maybe 6 times this year. But I have never been a big drinker. But I was around some people that I would describe as alcoholics. And from that point, I was around them sober because I've been doing like sober Octobers. And I was around them and it was like, you just see them when you're totally sober and you see them hammered drunk. You're like, man, this is like unappealing. And then I started cutting back my drinking. Again, I was never a huge drinker, but I would drink, I'd go camping and drink 20 Hey All iced teas over the weekend. And then if I went to have a fire, like on a weeknight after work, when I had a job, I would drink a 6-pack, go to the beach, have a 6-pack. And it just felt like I was going to the liquor store all the time. So I slowly started cutting back. And I felt better. And that's sort of the way I've felt about my cutting back of weed. It's like the less I do, I actually feel better. But like on Halloween, so Halloween was the last time I drank, and I got pretty drunk. I was straight tuned up on 8 I was gonna say Hey Y'all hard iced teas, but they were not Hey Y'alls. I don't remember the brand, but I had 8 hard iced teas, and I was lit. And I'm a heavyweight, but I've become a lightweight with drinking, so I don't really believe in being totally sober. But I just want to pick my places better, like a Thursday afternoon at the beach are not the time. I don't want to drink all those times. I'm just going to normalize drinking water, or I have normalized drinking water for myself. And I think with weed, I'm going to do it more like that. Like every time I get together with my bros, I don't need to smoke a joint. But then every now and again, smoke a joint. It was New Year's yesterday, which I did not do anything, but to celebrate my going sober in January, I did smoke a couple joints and eat nachos, but it's New Year's, let loose on New Year's. My birthday's February 24th. I'm not going to make a big deal about it, but it's like maybe I'll have a couple friends over, we'll smoke a joint, go in the hot tub. Totally normal, but it's like when I'm smoking joint after joint after joint when I'm on my trips because I'm by myself and I'm bored, it's like that's not what I want to do. So I just want to be better with that moving forward in 2025. Also, with that also said, is the amount of money I save by not drinking and not smoking weed is quite a lot because when I smoke weed, I also eat. So it's a three-way trifecta. I eat junk food, which costs a lot of money. So I smoke, which costs money, and then I eat junk food, which costs money. And then then I get lazy. But anyways, I can save a lot of money by not eating and drinking, especially the drinking, because booze is expensive. It's wild to me how much money I've saved by not doing it. And I've learned how to live broke for this whole 15 months. I've always wasted a lot of money. I've never had a lot of money, but I just waste money. I'm just bad with money. But I've now had the time to invest in just being cheap and just making my food instead of like getting hungry, going to the store, just buying whatever, buying frozen vegetables and just eating whatever I have. But like if I smoked, it's like I'll get a hankering for a bag of chips that needs to be filled with that bag of chips. But if I'm at home and I'm hungry, it's like, oh, I have a can of beans. Like I'm good with a can of beans, and then I'll survive on it. But if I smoke, it's like I don't have the same willpower to just eat what I have. It's like I have to go out and then I spend more money and like eat it. It's just not a constructive thing for me. So I would like to get that under control, for lack of a better word, which sounds like a little overstatement because I'm not a drug addict nor an alcoholic, but I just would like to do it a little bit better. Oh my God, I made it to my live stream. So that's Miss Casual Viewer. She has told me like 3 different times that I need to announce when I'm going live ahead of time, and then I never have. So I apologize for that. And she also, hold on a second. Oh, here it is. She also told me where Sasquatch is. So in 2025, I may or may not find Sasquatch. Oh, love camping BC. I think she's also commented on my Instagram that I should quit smoking weed. And I appreciate that because some people like Freeze is a bad influence on me. But then you have other people that like when you're a smoker, I don't like a pot smoker. It's so normal. But then there's a lot of people that don't. And it will, Nathan Mace kind of agreeing with me there. It does creep up on you when you're like just doing it all the time. But like smoking, there's so few people that actually smoke. So it is like you forget how abnormal it is to like the general population because it's so normal to you and your friends. But it's like, there's a lot of people that don't smoke weed ever. So I don't know. It's just interesting. So that's really my goal for 2025 is to cut back on my consumption of substances, mostly marijuana. I also would like to lose a little weight and then gain a whole lot of subscribers. That's the biggest goal. I also should be more social because during the pandemic, I got very antisocial because we were told not to hang out with people. And I'm pretty good at not hanging out with people. That's why I bought my van, so I had something to do. And then I built my van. I don't need anyone around to ranch. So I ranched, and then I do all these solo trips. And then I keep doing more and more and more and more solo trips. And then now that we're like totally restrictions are off, first of all, I've been gone for in the last year, I've been gone for 5 months, straight gone for 5 months. Then the other times I'm just doing stuff, and it's like it's so easy for me to not do anything with anybody. Which again is sort of fine, but also some of my friends don't like to they don't like the fact that I don't hang out with anybody. But again, being sober, it's like I don't have the desire to go out and like go out for beers. So it's like, why am I going out? First of all, I don't have any money because I don't have a job. I don't have to, I'm not stressed out. Like I am a little stressed out, but I don't have like work stress that I need to get away from to go out. So it's like I've just been very antisocial for 4 years. So I think I need to be a little bit better. And even some of these people that have reached out to me on YouTube, like Freeze himself, and I got another guy named Corey who's got a van just like mine. He's trying to be my friend, and I'm just like, I'm just so antisocial. So yeah, we should hang out, and I have no issues with the guy. I would like to hang out with him, and maybe even have the van videos together because he's got a van. But then it's like I don't want to do anything. I have no desire to go do things, which is a problem. And that moving forward, I think I need to be better. I just need to be better. Yeah, I just need to be better. Be more social. What do I gotta do here? Talk about that. New Year's haircut. So I was thinking about doing a haircut that wasn't just shaving my head. I was thinking about getting a mullet, but because I'm looking for a job starting on Monday, I feel like I can't walk into a normal place as essentially a 37-year-old man with a big mullet. I think that's just a bad look. So I just go in with the shaved head, and it also saves me money on haircuts. 2024 recap. What did I do? Fired, unemployed. I fixed the house. So I will say fixing the house, living rent-free. I have done so much work around here to justify the fact that I did not pay rent because I was so scared to be a freeloader. And my sister is a nurse, and she makes plenty of money, and she is too nice. And it's like, like don't pay rent, it's no big deal. And then I had all this tasks of things to do. And it's like, if she would let me freeload, as long as she could afford it. But it's like she would let me, but it's like I can't do it. And like I had to paint her house, which is fine. I can paint. But it's like she just wanted paint. But it's like I fixed all the walls with like putty and all that stuff. It's like I made sure I did everything like as good as possible. And I painted the whole inside of her house. I refinished some bathrooms, painted all the cabinets. Outside, I totally fixed the backyard because our dog here, Jackson, he totally ripped up the yard. It was so bad. And then I had to cut down some trees, regrow the lawn. It's like I've done so much work. So it honestly might have even been, well, I wouldn't say easier, but it's like I did so much work. It would have almost been easier just to have a job, to pay rent, and then make YouTube videos. But anyways, what do you say? Wes Warren. So actually, Wes Warren there, he is the guy that got me to play disc golf. He commented on one of my videos, and he's like, you should play disc golf. Because I was like, oh, what should I do? And he's like, play disc golf. And I was like, I should play disc golf. Because historically, I have played Frisbee with my friends, just tossing it around. And some of my other friends, they play Frisbee more often. Anyway, it just made perfect sense. It's like, that's the best thing to do. Or not the best thing, but it's one of those things I can do as I drive around to these different places. It's a great way to see. And I picked it up, and I was like, this is awesome. And I'm not good at it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not good. But it's a thing that I picked up in 2024 that I've really enjoyed. And I got two buddies, my buddies Dustin and Kyle. And Dustin, you will see on this channel at some point in time. Kyle, not. He does not leave the house. They are the guys that play Frisbee too. So we have all full on gotten into Frisbee golf or disc golf. And that all is from a comment from Wes. So that's actually one of the best things that happened to me in 2024 was to pick up disc golf. I lost a driver in Saskatchewan, which is, I guess we'll talk about my trip. But it's like I was in Saskatchewan at the number 2 rated disc golf course in Saskatchewan at Diefenbaker Park. And I threw a hole 1. I get out there and I rip the Frisbee. And it goes left. My shots always go up, and then they hang left and curve way left. And then it went in some long grass, and I just could not, for the life of me, find that disc. And then I had to leave. It was sundown. I was getting like a sunset round in, and it was just gone, never to be seen again. And I had to leave the next day. I think I actually went canoeing the next day, but the next day I had to leave. 2 days later, whatever, I had to leave, and it's gone. And I'm never going to Saskatchewan. So that was my first ever lost disc in Frisbee golf. But Frisbee golf 2024, that's been a highlight for sure. And I thank Wes and my friends also thank you. What do I want to say? I learned how to be broke. I'm sober-ish. I'm just going through my notes here. Plans for the new year. Well, getting a job. So plans for the new year is I'm going to get a job. Hold on a second. And I should say, everyone that says Happy New Year, I also say Happy New Year. The aliens took it. So I do not think aliens took my Frisbee, but it was funny talking to Mike Z today. And right as we were about to end our conversation, he started talking about the drones in New Jersey. And then I don't really believe in any... I don't say I don't believe in stuff, but I'm kind of... I guess I'm not a big believer. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in aliens. I don't believe in the supernatural stuff. I don't really even believe in Sasquatch, even though this makes you think I do. I do. I love the idea of Sasquatch, but I'm more of like, hey, show me the evidence. So then Mike started going off on the aliens, and I was like, oh man, I got to get out of this conversation. But one day we're gonna have a live stream, me and Mike, and I think we'll properly get into aliens and all that stuff. And what are we saying? Take up climbing. So I do not think big boys are meant to be off the ground on climbing walls. That's just a bad place for a big guy to be. We fall hard, and I'm probably not climbing. Anyways, plans for the new year. I would like to do more live streams. I think I might have said it before. Right when I got back, I had the idea of doing live streams. When I was on my trip doing nothing, I was like, oh, I should go on live stream. But then I think it was actually Nathan Mace there. He told me, maybe I'll just call him Nathan. He's like, no, like when you're on your trip, do your stuff and then do a live stream when you get home. They'll always be there. I was like, that's a good point. So I kept doing my trip. But I had the idea in my head. And then right when I got home, Jack Doherty, which I do not know anything about Jack Doherty, other than he is a live streamer and he has an incredibly punchable face. But like right when I got home, one of the first news things I seen was he was driving his McLaren while he was looking at his chat. Well, he's live streaming driving his McLaren, looking at his chat, and then he crashed his McLaren into a guardrail, totally ruined it. And his cameraman / friend in the passenger seat like had a bloody head or whatever. And then he just kept filming it. And it was like this big content piece. But this guy's got so much money. He's got a friggin' McLaren. And I was like, man, I got to do more live streams. So that's why I'm doing these live streams. And obviously, it's not the most interesting thing just to listen to me talk while I try to read these comments from far away. But I would like to do more live streams, but like podcast style, like with another person. So Mike Z is the other one that he's my main, my number one target right now. But I would just like to do with anybody, essentially. So obviously some people that are following me are also other creators. So it's like maybe I do one with them and we can talk about whatever. I'm not exactly sure. I know setting up the live stream, you can do it with it says like there's the option box. It's like join a creator or whatever. So I think right on the app, you can do a live stream with another person. So it's like I haven't figured out exactly what I would do, but I would like to do more live streams, but with people, more of a podcast. And I also would like to bring back my podcast. So I had the Sarge Inc. podcast I don't even know, like 2 years ago, which I think I put out like 12 or 13 episodes in a row, and I was enjoying it. But then my boss died, and it kind of ruined my momentum. Well, I'm not blaming my boss, but it kind of ruined my momentum, and I just mentally was not in the mood to do the podcast at that point in time. And then by the time I finally I was out on the road and I was just doing other stuff. So it's like I would like to bring back that podcast, but originally I was filming it I was recording it only on audio, but I would like to bring it back in video form. It won't be anything fancy. It'll be one camera, just having two people talk. I have two mics. And again, I do not know who will be interested in coming on my podcast, but I have my one friend, Dustin, who would love to be on a podcast, and he will be on the podcast. But he's not like a camper or a van life guy or anything like that. He's more of just a shit talker. So it's like me and him can get on and we can bullshit all day. But it's like that's not exactly what I want to do with my podcast. But I think sometimes it will be that. But then I would like to get people on that. I have one friend that I know she's lost 100 pounds. It's like I think I would like to get her on and hear her story. And then I have another friend that, again, he's actually a person that I want to be more social with. He has a YouTube channel, and he's like a friend of he's the husband of one of my old high school friends. But it's like he's a van life guy, and I'm almost positive I can convince him to get on the podcast. So this year, it's like I would like to do podcasts and live streams. And then I've been making my regular old... What's up, bud? My dog's about to jump off this couch here. He might hit the camera. Anyways, I've been making my regular old van content, which is my trip from my summer and all that stuff, and then do my camping, my canoeing, all that stuff. I'm going to continue doing that. But in addition, I would like to try to do one live stream / podcast every week. I do not know if that's possible, especially like I have no idea what my job is going to entail. But I would like to do one talking session, essentially, be podcast or live stream every week, along with try to do camping or videos or whatever. Again, Mike Z told me that he thinks eating is my lane, which sounds mean. But he so there's a hot dog guy that's been viral in Abbotsford here. And I would like to go eat his hot dogs. Maybe talk to him, who knows. But do like more food reviews. So it's like I might not, because if I'm working, I might not be able to get out and, I might not be able to go out and canoe 100K in the weekend or whatever. So some of those videos might be more food reviews or local stuff, just different stuff. But along with that stuff, I would like to do the podcast. And then it's like I might not physically be able to make 2 videos in a week. Like some videos, like I might have a podcast one week and that'll be it. Or I might not have a podcast and I'll have just a van life video. So it's like that. It will probably change a little bit, but I really do want to bring back the podcast. I just think it'll be interesting. I know, like, I live here in BC, and some people watch this channel specifically because they're from BC, and it's interesting to see people talk about where you're from. But like, if somebody knows the history of BC, if they're I don't know, if they're a weather scientist based out of BC, that kind of stuff, or even if they do trips in this kind of area, like, it would be good to get them telling stories kind of specifically about where I'm from. I think it might be more interesting, and that's like probably an underserved topic in the world. Everyone watches Joe Rogan's podcast, but it's like I don't need the opinion of another comedian based out of California. It's like, what does what does somebody in BC have interest? Maybe even local like comics or whatever. My sister is weirdly obsessed with pro wrestling. She she was literally she just did first aid at some wrestling show last night. But anyways, her friends are all wrestlers, which I have my own opinions about pro wrestling. But I might be able to get some of the pro wrestlers on to talk about podcasts, or to be on the podcast and talk about wrestling, their lives, that kind of thing, which I think could potentially be interesting. But I don't know. That's the plan. I would like to bring back the podcast. I have had requests to bring back the podcast because some people did listen from way back when I had it. One of my sister's friends, Brian, I'll give him a shout out. He's been he keeps asking me when I'm going to do it. And somebody on Instagram, which I don't actually know his name. For the record, my dog is drinking in the background. So if you hear a noise, that's what it is. But a guy on Instagram named, his name's like Ken Veranimus or something like that, who I don't know or do not believe I actually know. He listened to the podcast and he keeps telling me to bring it back. And I have said on Instagram, follow me on Instagram at Sarjane. I have mentioned on Instagram that I would like to bring back the podcast a few times. And then I never did. And he's like, hey, you said you're going to bring it back. You said you're going to bring it back. I am going to friggin' bring back the podcast. So thanks to Brian and Ken Veranimus on Instagram, I will officially bring back the podcast in some form. Yeah. Anyways, podcast, live stream, Mike Z, other creators. Yeah, so if you or somebody you know wants to be on a podcast and or a live stream and is somewhere around Abbotsford, BC, let me know. Tell them to hit me up. I'll hit them up. I would also like to be on other people's podcasts. I got a friend, Neil, that records a podcast. It's a movie podcast, which is a terrible fit for me because I do not watch movies. I watch an unbelievable low amount of movies. It's just weird. I've never seen any movie that you think everybody's seen. I have never seen it. But he does a movie podcast, and I'm like, hey, like I should be on your podcast. But I know Neil. I wish I remember the name of his podcast. I believe it's called Two Drinks In. You should look it up on Spotify. Two Drinks In. That's what I'm going with. Look it up on Spotify. But I would like to do his podcast. But I would like to do other podcasts. So if you know anybody that has a podcast that needs guests, I can talk about anything. I would like to talk about vans, van trips, road tripping, travels. I have fun stories. I have been lost and search and rescued before. I don't know. I definitely have some stories I can tell. I can talk politics, even though I don't really like to. I can talk politics, news, all that jazz. So if anyone, like I said, if anyone has any other creators that are sort of in my area that would like me to be a guest or them to be a guest on mine, let me know. Comment on my videos. There's Tommy Overall's telling me I could do it. He's another one. He always comments on all my stuff. He's one of my number one fans. And it just, again, feels good when all these people that I don't really know, they say all these nice things about you. It's like, oh man, like I just feel like I don't deserve all these people to say nice things to me. What are we doing? Freeze. I do food reviews. So actually, we're talking about this. I should eat weird food with Freeze. And maybe we should live stream me and Freeze eating some weird foods. He posts on Instagram all the time. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where he finds all this stuff, but he's got like weird flavored chips, weird drinks. So maybe we should get together and eat some weird food on live stream. Reading some of his comments. Mike is a big Thinker Thunker song. I don't know what that means. Conspiracies. Miss Casual Viewer. There we go. We might talk conspiracies. Bigfoot. I'd go for a burn. Oh, man. YouTube panel. So I'm reading these. It probably doesn't make for good TV, but I'm trying to catch up. I need a second screen here, but I do not have the abilities to do that. I have a tablet, and I thought I could pair my camera to it and use it as a webcam, but I have to use my phone. It doesn't work that good. Talking about Sasquatch. I'm on White Rock. Yeah, mukbang. That's what you call eating on camera. So that sounds very dirty to me. And I feel like if I'm doing a mukbang, I should have no shirt on, which is a little dirty, but it sounds dirty. Anyways, I again lost my train of thought. So we'll talk about. I got a few more things on my list for. What else did I do in 2024? The year started with me blowing my parents' transmission in their truck when it was like minus 10 degrees out. They live in Astoria, so they drove down in their 2017 F-150, and it was like minus 35. And then I drove them to the airport. They were going to Mexico, or they drove themselves to the airport with me as a passenger. And then I drove them home, and on the way home, on the Alex Fraser Bridge on Highway 91, I guess that is, I was coming up, and then all of a sudden I had, I felt like a weird, like, just a weird feeling. It was like a, I don't even know how to describe it, just like a weird, like, vibration, bump, surge, whatever, just a weird feeling. And then I started noticing that there was smoke coming out from behind me in my mirrors. And it turns out I totally blew their transmission. The transmission blew while I was driving. And I was very glad it did not happen to them when it was minus 35 and they were coming through the mountains. But it happened to me and it was minus 10. And that's how I started. That was like January 3rd, maybe. And that was how I started the year last year, was them blowing the transmission. And that led me to have to drive them around searching for a new vehicle. And if you've ever had to help your old parents, my parents are not that old, but they're 68, 70, and they just operate differently. And I just had to drive them around. It was such a pain in the butt. For like 2 weeks, they were down here and needed my assistance. And I have no job, so I have nothing else to do, right? And that was like such a pain. But now they hold it against me that I blew their transmission. And for the record, a transmission is, if you get Ford to replace your transmission in a 2017 F-150, they will try to charge you $9,500. That's what they quoted my parents for a or to take it out, rebuild it, and reinstall it was $9,500. They ended up buying a new truck. Freeze keeps asking me if I'm going to do fly fishing. I do not fish, and I may or may not fish moving forward. That is Freeze's number one goal, to get me to fish. And I might fish in 2025. We'll have to see. Because that actually does seem like a video that I could fit in. With a work schedule, I could fish after work and maybe catch a fish, maybe not. So I might even be able to live stream catching a fish. Who knows? So that might be a thing that happens in 2025. Anyways, $9,500 Canadian dollars to fix a transmission. But that's a lot of money. So I blew my parents' transmission. And cost them almost $10,000. But eventually they just bought a new used truck. So, that's what happened. That's how I started this year, which is a bummer. And then after that, I ran my first marathon. Me and my sister went to Las Vegas on my birthday. My birthday is February 24th. I think I've talked about my birthday way too much in this episode because I really don't care about it. But my sister wanted to run a marathon. That's her goal. She has rheumatoid arthritis and was basically told like she's not going to run. The doctor told her she was not going to be able to run. And that was like her real, like a life goal was to run a half marathon. And then we went to Vegas and we ran a half marathon. So we did Vegas-y stuff. And we ran the half marathon. And she finished in like 3 hours and 1 minute. And I feel, oh, thank you. Thanks, Wes. Not only did he get me into Frisbee golf, he nice donation there. Thank you. Anyways, ran Las Vegas, ran the half marathon. My sister finished in like 3 hours and 1 minute, and I finished in 3 hours and 3 minutes or something like that. Anyways, it was really just about a minute apart, and still to this day, it kind of bothers me that she did it faster than me. But I did record a video the whole time. And that was a good thing that I did in 2025 or 2024 was running that half marathon. Obviously, I'm not fit, and I was not fit at the time. So it was a challenge to do. And 3 hours is obviously not fast. But I ended up hurting my Achilles. I hated the training leading up to that. I hated it. I dreaded getting on that treadmill, and I hated it. And then I blew my Achilles. I did not blow my Achilles, but all of a sudden my Achilles was really sore. And then that was like 16 days out from that half marathon, and I just had to stop training. And I would have got under 3 hours, in my opinion, if I was able to continue my training. But my Achilles hurt until the run, and even on the run, it hurt. But that did make me feel pretty accomplished. My sister felt way more accomplished. She cried after it when we were in the restaurant, which I think was like pain and joy of accomplishing it and all that stuff. And I thought it was cool. And I had my medal hung up. As soon as I got home, I hung up the medal. Like it made me feel good, but not as good as her. But looking back, that was a cool thing to do in 2024. And like I said, I am not fit. I was not fit at the time, and that was not a fast time. But there's a lot of people that are like me that would not achieve that. They would not try. Thank you, Miss Casual Viewer, for the donation. That's her trying to buy me on Bigfoot. Anyways, I appreciate it. That's all jokes. But the half marathon, it made me feel good, and I think some people maybe are inspired. One of the people, actually, I joked about it on Instagram today with total strangers, but when I was hiking to Flow Lake. I hiked to Flow Lake, the Rockwall Trail, which is a video will come out. Some lady who's like some sort of life coach or something. I'm not going to name her because she's my enemy, actually. But when we were still friends before she yelled at me, she yelled at me for having a fire that was, in her mind, unsafe. But it was the safest fire. There was nothing sketchy about it, and she yelled at me, totally ruined the vibe of the camp. But before that, she's some life coach, and she wanted me to talk to one of her clients, I guess, who, I guess he's a big guy, but he doesn't feel like he can get out in the woods and do this kind of stuff. But then there's me, a damn near 300 pounds, carrying a 50-pound pack, just rambling through the woods like not a care in the world, just fucking doing it, you know? And she was like people need to see that kind of stuff, and it, I guess, inspires other people, because obviously I am fat, but it doesn't like hold me back in the same way. It's like I'll go canoeing. I've done, I'll carry that portage. I'll go up, climb up mountains, and obviously I'm not doing it fast, but I'm doing it. And I had a trail runner once in my local hike. We both got to the top at the same time, and I was pouring out sweat, breathing so heavy, and he just breezed right past me right at the end. And I was like, damn, making me look bad. He's like, hey, we're both at the top, aren't we? And it was very true. And I guess like some people need to be inspired that are big, and they hold themselves back because they don't think they can do some of this stuff. And if I can inspire any big guys or big girls to get out there and do some of this stuff, like don't do anything dangerous. Like if you can't hike, you can't hike, but it's like you can. You have all day to hike. You like pick a pace that you can maintain. If you think your backpack's heavy, it is heavy, but just carry it, and you eventually get to the top. And like, don't hold yourself back from missing out on this cool stuff just because you're a little bit overweight. Like, if do it. I'm doing it. Like, watch me do it. I'm nothing special. I'm literally just a guy. But yeah, anyways, that lady that told me that I inspired this person, or she wanted me to inspire this person, I guess. Anyways, it just made me feel good. And that's what I think that marathon, I think there's a lot of people out there that, I do know somebody that one of my mom's friends who I'm not friends with, but I talked to her. She's like, I can't believe you ran that far. Like, but she runs way better than me. It's like, what are you talking about? She's worried about the running 21K. It's like, you can do it. I just did it. You could do it way better than me. But she's like scared to go that far. But it's like, just do it. Actually, there's a New Year's resolution for you. Just do it. Like, if you want to make a YouTube channel, just do it. If you want to go hiking, just do it. If you want to run a half marathon, just do it. It doesn't have to be pretty. You don't have to know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm not I'm not excelling at the world or anything like that. But it's like, just do it. Just make a video. Go for a run. Like, go if you want to run a half marathon, do it. If it takes you 3 hours, it takes you 3 hours. If it takes you 4 hours, it takes you 4 hours. If you crush it and do it in an hour and 25 minutes, that's even better. But it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, just do it. There's a lesson for 2025. I'm gonna roll up a few of these comments. I'm getting pretty close to being done here. Fast is overrated. The best pace is an enjoyable time. That is true. Actually, I've had a few people comment on my Bower Lakes video where I did it in 5 days, which is quick, but not that quick. They're like, oh, you're allowed up to 14 days to do it. They're like, oh, I should take 14 days, which to me is like wildly slow, like way too slow. But it's like, if you have time, like, you know, like, what are you rushing? And like with a half marathon, it's like you're running 21K, and this one is in Vegas, but it's like you're only trying to impress yourself, essentially, right? Like, you're not competing against anybody. You're just running. And like, you know, like, you're out there. Some people are dressed up. It's like, dress up. Who cares if you run 5 minutes slower because you wore a funny costume? It's like, you look back, you're like, man, remember when we ran that dressed up like robots? Like, that was just a better memory. So like, I guess I do agree, speed is overrated, but you know, you're a good cook, do some cooking shows. So actually, that is one thing I do think I should do, is more cooking. Not really at my house, but like do some more campfire cooking. And all my cooking that I've done so far has kind of been along with other videos. But I think like maybe I'll make a standalone video of cooking, campfire cooking. I think that's sort of a thing that I can do and maybe should do more of moving forward. So I appreciate that suggestion. I have a Dutch oven in my garage. I've been cleaning out my garage as my final whatever. I guess it's the start of the year, but I've been like doing a spring cleaning to end the year here. And I've refound a Dutch oven, which is a big cast iron Dutch oven that my dad used to cook all sorts of stuff in. And I've thought about it for 2 days now. But I thought about busting that out and doing some like Dutch oven cooking. I remember my dad used to always make like these pineapple upside down cakes. Sorry, my dog's totally distracted me. He did these pineapple upside down cakes, but I kind of want to cook a lasagna in there. My dad used to cook like Cornish game hens. Anyways, I think I might try to bust out that cast iron Dutch oven and try to do some more of that kind of stuff. What are we doing? MSR. I don't know what that's in relation to. I definitely need to. Yeah, well, if you feel like you need to get in shape. But ultimately, all this stuff, you can do it. You just might not be going that fast. Fat Mama Blogs. Build up my stand. I want to hike to Century Sam Lake on Vancouver Island. I do not know what that is, but I would like to go to Vancouver Island. I thought I might get there this year, but I feel like I should do like a... So in the summer, well, this year I went to Saskatchewan. The year before that, I don't even know where I went the first year. Just around, up to Jasper, all that stuff. I think I could make like a mini trip to Vancouver Island for like 2 weeks, maybe even a month, and do a bunch of stuff on Vancouver Island, and then take a second trip, if time and finances permit, and take a second trip up to... I would like to get all the way across Canada this year. That's kind of like the goal in my head, but I do not know for a fact if that will happen or not. But it's like, I think I could do an island trip earlier in the year and then go the other way later in the year. But I have some unfinished business in Saskatchewan that I would like to get to. And yeah, I just have stuff that I would like to do. But I think going across Canada feels like I don't know. It's romantic. The idea is romantic. Going all the way across just feels like what I should do. And now that I have gone to Saskatchewan, even though I do have unfinished business, I feel like I can go to Saskatchewan kind of quickly and then push on from there exploring. So That's sort of what I would like to do, but I would like to get to the disc golf every day. I would like to play more disc golf. I would like to get like good enough that like yeah, I don't know, just good enough that, you know, I would like to get like an ace one day, like a hole in one, that kind of stuff, and just like I'd like to be good enough not to lose my driver in Saskatchewan again. Oh, my lovely dog slurping. I always say this, my dog is 14 years old, and he's getting very old. Some people ask if, or in my comments, they say they would like to see him do more adventures with me, but he is getting pretty immobile. I used to walk him like 45 minutes every day, but now he's only got about 10 good minutes in him. But some days it's not even 10 minutes. He can only walk like 5 minutes. So if I take him out in the van, first of all, he does not like camping that much. He likes it until he hates it, is what I always say. But we can't really do a lot of things if we're out there. We're kind of stuck just being in the van, maybe camping or cooking on the campfire here. Used to figure skate. Could you do like proper tricks, or are you like an ice dancer? Because I look at those figure skaters that do like, I guess they don't do flips, but all those spins, like that's a wild thing to do. I can skate, but barely. I never played hockey or anything. Also, when you get to Bigfoot's hideout, wave it around. Yeah. A Dutch oven campfire would be awesome. Full time. Yeah. But see, so that's a good point with the job here. I don't know if that's interesting, but if I get a job, it's like it's going to be a temporary job. And if I have to quit, I have to quit. And if I have to get like a short temporary job after that, I can do that. I kind of would like to drive for Uber or something, but unfortunately with the van, it's too old to drive on Uber. It only has one seat as well. So I can't really do Uber, but I might be able to do Uber Eats. But essentially I can do anything if I have to. And if I have to Uber Eats for a month because I want to quit in the beginning of June to go to the island, it's like, as long as I have enough money, it's like I'll quit and then I'll work for another month delivering Uber Eats and then get going. End your trip in Newfoundland. I can put you on some shit. I would like to. So I've been to PEI. I have a, well, actually, I'm not able to see it. I have a picture up there from the Scouting Jamboree in 2001. And I've been all the way to PEI, but we flew there. So I've never driven that far. And I would like to drive all the way out there. But that whole side of Canada is just, to me, I've never been. But it's a totally different world than the West Coast here. And there's like, that's like the beginning of Canada is back east. Same with America. Like they landed in the east and came west. Like the West is the final frontier, right? And there's like way more history over there. It's like old history. I've had maple syrup, but from a store. So like I wouldn't mind seeing like where they make maple syrup from like real trees. Like it doesn't even get cold in here. In BC here, it's been cold maybe 5 days, and we're talking like -1. So I would like to see like, you know, the East Coast. I feel like there's a lot more history out there and stuff like that. I just think it would be kind of cool. Newfoundland. I would like to ride the I think it's called the Cabot Trail. I wouldn't mind riding that on a bicycle if I could, but these are all ideas that I don't know if they're actually feasible. My dad said no matter what, you are in a video, we watch it. Actually, that's one thing that other people said with my video about how much money I made in YouTube. Saying that I don't focus on one thing. I do too many things, which is maybe bad because some people watch this stuff for van build stuff, which I built my van and now I do stuff in it. But they don't care about canoeing, so they unsubscribe. But it's like, to me, I just want to do as many things as possible. And like if you're into backpacking, like why wouldn't you also be interested in hiking? Or sorry, why wouldn't you be interested in canoeing? Like I did the Bowring Lakes, but then I like later this summer, which you'll see, I did the Rockwall Trail, which is a 5-day backpacking trip. That's like a 5-day backpacking trip and a 5-day canoeing trip. It's like, to me, the same type of person would be interested in both of those. And whether if you're just watching this for entertainment, then you would get the same level of entertainment of me doing something in the scenery canoeing, but also something in the scenery of hiking. But if you're interested in hiking, it's like, well, maybe you decide that you want to get in a canoe. So I kind of think like the broadening of just doing all sorts of stuff, it casts a wide net, and then you'll interest people in a bunch of things. But then obviously some people, if they only care about cooking, they don't want to watch me go canoeing. So it's like, why would I make a cooking video if I'm a canoeing channel? But it's like, if I'm an everything channel, you can just watch what you want to watch. And eventually, I would like this to be a full-time job. And it's like, if I can make one cooking video every week, if I can make one canoeing video every week, and if I could also make a van build video every week or a podcast once a week or whatever, all of a sudden you're making 4 different types of videos like every other day or whatever. It's like all of a sudden you're producing a ton of content, and then you're making all sorts of videos. So anyways, thank you again for saying that. But I think all sorts of stuff. Single jumps, did freestyle with the toe loops, and sow cows. Easier jumps. That's actually pretty badass though. I recommend a month on the island. Central Island. So I would like to do I forget the name of it. There's a canoe circuit over there. The Sayward Canoe Circuit I would like to do. I've been told, I recommended. And I would like to do that. But then there was another big lake there. Man, I can't remember. But it's like a big, long lake. And I would like to canoe that whole lake. And then there's also a canoe-only waterfall out there. I think on the same lake. It's in Strathcona Provincial Park, whatever that lake is called. But there's a canoe access. I think it's called Della Falls. I would like to get there one time. And then I did hike not that long ago, 2 years ago. I hiked on the North Coast Trail, part of it, up at Cape Scott on the north end. So if I go to the islands, like I would like to go tip to tip. That's one of those things that I would like to do. And actually, one thing I do want to do, I want to canoe from Victoria back to Vancouver. You can go up and around. That is one of the goals of this channel, is to one day be able to go from Victoria to Vancouver via up and through the the Queen Charlotte, not the Queen Charlotte, whatever the islands are called there up there, like Main Island and Seychelles and stuff like that. I don't think it's actually that sketchy. Newfoundland, Canada's oldest city. See? It's a fact I didn't know. But yeah, Newfoundland, she's older. I'm reading these. It's your Canada C2C. Variety, spice of life. It makes me spicy. Yeah, it does not get cold here in Lower Mainland. Della Falls, there you go. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, Strathcona is big for Sasquatch. I feel like there is animals over there, like cougars. That does make me a little bit nervous because I have always traveled solo. And at one point, I used to think I could fight off a cougar. Then I've seen how big cougars are, and they actually are scary. So, anyways. But at one point, I would like to go to the island. And also across Canada. Maybe both, who knows. But that's just looking at 2025. In 2026, 2027, who knows where I'll go. I also wouldn't mind going down to the States. So I met a random girl from England who was living in Canada. She was living in a Toyota 4Runner. No, Toyota RAV4. I met her in Radium Hot Springs, and she had just done Flow Lake hike. And anyways, we became Instagram friends. And she went on a big road trip for 2 or 3 months. After she met me, she went down south. And her pictures on Instagram of all the trips she went down to the States, I was jealous of. It looked so beautiful. And to me, I'm Canadian, I want to travel in Canada. But then some of these pictures she was showing me from America, I was like, dang, you know what? I might just have to go down to America one of these days. Do not canoe back from Vancouver Island. It's way too dangerous. Sounds like a challenge. You're not going straight across. You're going up and around. And I read like the furthest distance between two islands, the biggest open water section, is like 8 kilometers, which is like an hour and a half, hour 40 minutes. Like that's not that. You go about 5 kilometers an hour in the water. So, I don't know what the tide conditions are. That's why I have not done it. I've never really experienced ocean paddling, so I don't know what the tides do. But I don't think it's as sketchy as it sounds. And I can't do it solo. That's too dangerous, I think. So that would have to be with some sort of group. Which, the bigger I get on YouTube, the more other people might want to join me on some of these weird excursions. And if I get more social, I might even allow people to hang out with me. Love on Christmas, Bowen Lakes. I think I'll talk too much about this stuff. Anyway, some of the stuff I did in this year was to Bowen Lakes, Myrtle Lake, driving all the way to Saskatchewan. All that was awesome. I have like nothing but positive memories with all the stuff I did on my trip. And you'll see it coming up in this, my videos coming up, but my next two videos are going to be in Grasslands National Park in Saskatchewan. And then from there, I worked my way back through BC. I crashed my drone and then I hiked the Rockwall Trail in Kootenay National Park. And from there, I went up to Jasper. Because if you've been watching all my videos, my summer trip was supposed to start in Jasper. Or not start, but it was based around a bunch of things in Jasper that I had reservations for. Because Jasper went up in flames, my whole plan changed. So my whole trip started like slow. But I do get back up to Jasper. So in probably like a month or 6 weeks, I'll have a video of my return to Jasper, which I think will actually be really interesting. Just for people to see the damage and stuff like that. But anyways, all my trip, everything I did in this trip, like it started slow. A little disappointing the way it started, although like my disappointment was I couldn't be too disappointed because it was changed because Jasper burned catastrophically, so I have nothing to be sad about. But from there, like everything that I did was like just so much good times, and like all the people I met in Saskatchewan were so nice to me, and it's like I was so glad I went there just to meet the people I met, which I'll never see any of again. But this lady Jo, I assume it's short for Jolene, she literally she invited me, but like not only invited me, but she's like pushing me to come stay at her house because I was in Waskesiu Lake, and then I was going from there. I was heading down south and going through Saskatoon, and she's like, "Oh, I live in Saskatoon. Come stay at my house." It's like I'm in a van. I don't need to stay at your house. She's like, "Stay at my house. Like it's no big deal." It's like I don't want to stay at your house, lady. I don't know you. You're a lady on a boat. I'm canoeing. Like, don't offer me this. Like, this is weird. And she's like, trying to get me so hard to like come stay at her house. Like, you can use the Wi-Fi. You can do your laundry and all this stuff. It's like you're like begging me to come stay at your house just so you could be nice. It's like those people don't. I don't want to say they don't exist, but people like that don't exist down here in Abbotsford, which is not a big city. But when you go to Saskatchewan, you realize that Abbotsford is kind of a big city. But this overwhelmingly nice. And like some other guy I met if you haven't seen at Waskesiu Lake, I came across an open water swim race. And some random guy, I forget his name, he was just giving me like the straight goods on the canoeing in Saskatchewan. Just so nice. And it's like that whole trip was just so worth it. Just to experience the people, just totally different way of life out there, I think. And it was awesome. So nothing I did in 2025 was like bad. Come to Hot Springs, Montana. So I don't know where exactly Hot Springs, Montana is, but I feel like above Saskatchewan, I think I was above Montana. And I did think about that. Because I have another guy that, I don't know if he really watches my channel, but he had a van at one point in time. But he, I feel bad. I'm blanking on his name too. But I think he might even be like an maybe even still, but I think he was like an ex-pro kayaker. And, I hate that I don't know his name. But I feel like he lives up in that area too.
And I don't really want to kayak with him, but I think he'd be an interesting guy to talk to. But I think, so if I do go like across Canada, there is like the opportunity to go down south on the way back. But even if I don't go across Canada, it's like maybe I go to Canada, and then once it starts getting cold, because I probably last few years has been August to the end of October. No, the beginning of August to the beginning of October, 2 months. So it's like it starts to get a little cold. But if I could dip down south, I could probably extend it a little bit longer, so that I could work all the way up to August, and then go August to like the end of October, maybe even into the beginning of November, all on the road. If I go down south and maybe like end in like Arizona or something at Mike Z's new place in Bisbee, Arizona. Anyways, these are all like ideas I have. What I want to do. I almost died. Oh, so you actually have experience that I shouldn't do it. I've done Myrtle a few times. Almost died. English Bay. Yeah, they sure do not exist in Vancouver. Yeah, it's funny. Like going to Vancouver is just so far from me. It's like there's just a whole other world out there. But then you realize like Abbotsford is a big city, but it's like not that big. And Vancouver's a scary place. I fought off a cougar once. Oh, I should have seen that coming. Anyways, Happy New Year. Anyway, thanks to everyone who said Happy New Year. I'm just gonna say my last thing. I've talked to an hour and 16 minutes about essentially nothing, other than myself, I guess. I just won my fantasy football league, which I know you probably don't care about fantasy football, but I love fantasy football, and that's a 17-week season that you play a game every week. So you set your lineup every week, and we're in a group chat with all our friends, and we shit talk for 17 straight weeks, a little bit more because you shit talk ahead of the draft. And I drafted my team in, I'm dying here. I drafted my team in Buffalo Pound Provincial Park in Saskatchewan this year. The year before that, I drafted on the library, the front porch of the library in Jasper using their Wi-Fi. But from Buffalo Pound Provincial Park for 17 weeks of playing with your friends, I finally won the league. I won the whole title. I know you don't care, but I had Saquon Barkley and Jahmyr Gibbs, and they carried their way to a championship. And I won money, and that money is going straight into buying a new drone. You haven't seen it yet, but I have a video coming out in a couple weeks where I crashed my drone into a tree that it never came down. It was in the tree, and the tree's like, I don't want to exaggerate, but I'd say like 150 feet tall. There's no way I could climb the tree. And it never came down. It was like a big fucking tree. There's no way I could like shake it trying to get it down. It was just stuck. So I was able to download all the footage off the drone from the tree. And then I just haven't had a drone since, which is not that big of a deal because a lot of my travel has been in I won money. I guess I'm getting into that. I don't know why I answered. So a lot of my travel is in national parks and provincial parks. You can't fly a drone anyways. But it never came down, and all my winnings of my fantasy football league are going straight into a drone. I am going tomorrow. I got a buddy, Dustin. He works at a helicopter sales place. I don't know exactly even what they sell, but they're a DJI authorized dealer, and he's getting me a pretty good deal, although they're on sale at Best Buy, so I could get a good deal anyways. But I'm going to go tomorrow and I pick up a new drone. So all that money that I won and I didn't really have because I don't have a job, I'm investing it right back into this channel. So when you get good new drone footage from my Mavic Mini 3 in the future, just know that is brought to you by the fact that I won my fantasy football league. I have won our league 4 times. That is the most championships in our league. Our league has been going since 2012. I think it started in 2011 before I came in as a 4-team league. But in 2012, it's when it started in earnest. And there's a core group of guys that have been in there the whole time or most of the time. And I've won it 4 years in a row, or 4 years total. It's been 7 years since I last won. So, anyways, I just want to gloat. This is my channel. I will talk about my mad fantasy skills. Yeah. So when you see the drone, just know that that was brought to you by the fact that I won my fantasy league, and I feel good about it. What are they on to do here? They could climb up there. Yeah, I do need an arborist. So I actually have a buddy, Brett, who I think Brett would be an interesting person to have on the podcast. But he's a professional arborist, and he's the first guy I thought of. He's climbed bigger trees probably, but it was at a rest stop in a weird place in BC. So it's so far away from where I live, and it was like at the outskirts of town. So it's like, where am I going to find an arborist in that area? So it's like, and I was like just driving through town. I had somewhere to be. I was going to the rock wall, so I had reservations. So I didn't have like that long to deal with it. Which, yeah, I feel bad because it's still up in a tree. It might have fallen down with winter or something like that, but it's like I littered permanently, and there's nothing I could do about it. And I was sad because of my drone being gone. But ultimately, it was a Mavic Mini 2, which is not cheap, but, it's only... I think I can get a Mavic Mini 2 for like $400 now. But used it's not worth that. And so it's not even the money, but it's like I lost it in the tree. And like I could no longer film with the drone for the rest of the trip. So that sucked more than the amount of money that I lost. But anyways, I won my fantasy league, so it doesn't really matter. I could use that money just cash in my bank account, but it is better used to service this channel. And moving forward, I'm going to get a Mavic Mini 3, and I can film horizontal and vertical. So on my Instagram channel, at Sarge Inc., you'll probably get some more vertical drones. Maybe I'll bring some shorts back to this channel and all that stuff. So that was a great way for me to end 2024. That was the most amount of money I earned in 2024 was via my fantasy league. My YouTube, I think I made that video. I made about $650 on YouTube, and I think I made $800 because I put in 100. I think I made $800 on fantasy football. So my fantasy football was my biggest source of income for the entirety of 2024. I did get EI for like 5 months at the beginning. So if I count that as income, that was my biggest source of income. But real earnings, the biggest source of income was fantasy football, which is kind of awesome, kind of sad. But with that being said, that's it. That's the end of this live. I plan on doing more, so if you want to be on them, let me know. If you have people you want to be on them, casual viewer is almost certainly going to have to be on one now. And yeah, that's it. So I'll say Happy New Year again. Thanks for everyone that has reached out, said Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that stuff. I am not always the best at returning my comments. Sometimes it is overwhelming. I try to like kind of batch answer them, which is it kind of just means I put them off. Now all of a sudden I have like 50 things to respond to. 50. I don't want to brag here. I'll have like 20 things to respond to, and then it's like overwhelming. But it's easier than doing it when I get them. So, anyways, but I read them all. Even if I don't respond, I read them all. I try to give them a heart, but I read them all. I appreciate everyone that reaches out, says thank you, all that stuff. So that being said, that's it. That's the end of this episode. Happy New Year. Peace. And now the awkward part where I don't remember how to turn this thing off. Oh, I hate this. Oh. Okay.